Hi, I'm Chris Remsen, and for my presentation, I chose to cover the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The Convention on the Rights of the Child, or the CRC, is a treaty that outlines the economic, social, civil, cultural, political, and health rights for children. Under the CRC, a child is considered anyone under 18 unless the country recognizes a different age majority. And the age majority is what's considered the threshold of adulthood for that country. It was open for signature on November 20th, 1989. It came into force on September 2nd, 1990. The CRC consists of 3 different parts and 54 articles total. Part 1 consists of 41 articles. Part 2 includes Article 42 through 45, and Articles 46 through 54 are contained in Part 3. The CRC is a widely accepted treaty. There are 196 countries that have signed and ratified it, and 1 signatory, as you can see, the USA. The gray areas that you see on the map here are countries that are not officially recognized by the UN. The Convention on the Rights of the Child requires that nations that ratify it to consider all aspects of human rights along with the unique needs of children, and the states must act in the best interest of the child. It requires compliance with child custody and guardianship laws. It is the first international treaty to guarantee civil and political rights as well as economic and social rights. And the CRC forbids the capital punishment for children in regards to protecting them from physical or mental violence. However, it makes no reference to corporal punishment. There are many circumstances covered under the treaty, some of which include for states to provide a minimum age for admission to employment, and of states parties to recognize the right of every child to a standard of living adequate for the child's physical, mental, spiritual, moral, and social development. Requirements of the CRC were decided by governments, non-governmental organizations, human rights advocates, health advisors, social workers, teachers, lawyers, child development experts, and religious leaders all across the world. The United States government had an active role in drafting the CRC and commented on nearly all of the articles, and proposed the original text of 7 of them, 3 of which came directly from the Constitution. One of the more talked about articles in the CRC state that a child cannot be sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. The Convention on the Rights of the Child includes 3 optional protocols, the first of which covers the involvement of children in armed conflict. This states that children under the age of 18 cannot be recruited into the armed forces or take part in any hostilities. This protocol entered force July 12, 2002. 162 states are party to this protocol. 14 others have signed but not ratified it as of September 16, 2016. The second optional protocol covers the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. It prohibits the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. It entered into force January 18, 2002. There's 171 states that are party to this protocol. 9 others have signed but not ratified it as of September 16, 2016. While the United States has not ratified the CRC itself, the U.S. has ratified both of these protocols. The third optional protocol covers the communications procedure. This allows for children or their representatives to file complaints for the violation of their rights on an individual basis. It was adopted in December 2011, opened for signature in February 2012. It entered into force in April 2014 with 50 signatures and 25 ratifications. Requirements of countries under the CRC. All governments which have ratified the CRC are required to report to the United Nations Committee periodically to be examined for progress and any advancement within their country. The CRC requires governments to adapt laws, policies, and practices to protect the rights of the children and to enhance their healthy development. The sole enforcement mechanism within the CRC is the issuing of a written report. Current world issues involving the CRC. Early and forced childhood marriage is a big topic for the CRC, as much as the world sees this as a form of slavery that is illegal under the CRC. Child marriage is still prevalent because existing laws are not enforced or provide exceptions for parental consent or traditional or customary laws. The right to education is an example where in many places, such as developing countries, where it proves to be a difficult thing to provide to all children, even though they have the right under the CRC. The enforcement of the CRC seems to be the biggest issue. Even though it calls for no enslavement, no children soldiers, and no child prostitution, these things remain prevalent in much of the world because there is little to no enforcement of the laws in many places. Why has the U.S. not ratified the treaty? Some religious groups and political conservative groups have stated that it will conflict with the U.S. Constitution. Convention supporters also point out that under the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution, the Convention cannot override the Constitution. It also does not grant international authority over the U.S., but obligates the U.S. to submit periodic reports. The U.S. remaining sovereign is a large reason given for many international treaties that they do not decide to ratify. Some Americans oppose the CRC with the reasoning that the nation already has in place everything the treaty espouses, and that it would make no practical difference. The USA doesn't have a lot of incentive to join because it opens them up to international scrutiny to laws that we already have in place and has no enforcement other than to make reports. This has been my brief summary on the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Thank you.